wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land within the Shire of Chittering, the Ewart and Woodchucks people. We would like to pay respect to the elders of the Noongar Nation, past and present, who have walked and cared for the land. We acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution made to this region. I declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. Just to be aware, as per Council Resolution 130423, this meeting is live streamed. Item 2, record of attendance, apologies, approved leaves of absence and announcements. We have in attendance all of Council. In terms of the staff, we do have a couple of apologies. Mr Scott Clayton, Deputy Chief Executive Officer, is an apology. Danae, who usually takes the minutes, is an apology, and we thank Jody for taking the minutes tonight, so thank you very much. In terms of other apologies, I've made those. Approved leave of absence, there are nil. Announcements, councillors' announcements. For attendances in their role of elected members are on the screen. Councillors, are there any edits to the list of attendances?
Yeah, Jody, I was at that raucous staff party on Friday. I failed to include that. Please.
Thank you, Councillor Dewar. Yes.
Thank you.
But raucous. Councillors, anything further? Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll move on to item 3, disclosures of interest. Kylie Hughes has declared an interest and impartiality in relation to item CO04, Mouchet Recreation Centre, clay removal and clean fill green statement. The nature of that interest is that she's a life member of the Mouchet Netball Club, who have been regular users of the facility. So thank you for that. Councillors, are there any other disclosures of interest? Thank you, Council. I'll move on to item 4, public question time. Response to previous public questions taken on notice. PQT01 1123 Natalie Valance. I'll read the question and the answer. Question is, are we able to have reconsideration for a geotextile fabric to be laid underneath the netball courts prior to construction in Mouchet? The response is as follows. During the design phase of the Mouchet Recreation Centre, it was brought to our attention that puffballs have been a problem in the past on this site. Expert advice was sought to find the best solution to the problem. In correspondence on the matter, Porter Engineering, who are the consultants engaged by site architecture, stated it is not possible to 100% eliminate the risk of puffballs. To minimise the risk of puffballs, and if there are particular concerns, we have specified a copper sulphate solution to be mixed into the road base. He also stated, I am not aware of a geofabric being installed as a measure to prevent puffballs. As puffballs are a species of fungi, they require a damp environment to survive. The primer coat and the asphalt surface of the courts provide an impervious surface. The removal of reactive clay under the courts will prevent cracking of the courts and water penetration, and the application of the copper sulphate will also inhibit the growth of the puffballs. This is an industry recognised response to the problem. Due to delay to the project and cost of installation, it is not recommended to install geofabric to the Mouchet Recreation Centre multi-purpose courts. Thank you. Public question time. Are there any public questions? No public questions. Thank you, Clint. Item 5, presentations, petitions and deputations. There are nil of all 3. Applications for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any applications for leave? Councillor Curtis. Any time in the future you can submit a leave application now?
Yeah, I don't know the exact date. Might be around here for another meeting until January.
Till February. The next meeting's in February?
Yeah.
So
I'll
if...
be back in February.
Okay, that's fine.
Australia Day.
Do a world tour in that period of time.
Right, thank you. No applications for leave. Item 7, confirmation of minutes of ordinary meeting of council for the 15th of November 2023. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation there to confirm the minutes. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ross. Seconder, please. Councillor Angus, thank you. Councillor Ross.
Nothing to say there. They're at the usual high standard.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Angus, anything?
Nothing to add, thank
Am I
you.
having a vote anyway now? Do we not? There's no
You
one
don't
against?
have to vote, but we will list the names.
Okay, Councillor. Okay.
It's just about not recording that.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? If no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0, and the names will be recorded. Thank you. Item 8, announcements from the presiding member. The only announcement really is to say, well, thank you, Council, for a very busy year. And I look forward to a new year for a lot of reasons, to be honest. It'd be nice to have a new year. And I thank the CEO and staff for their work over the year, particularly given the increasing workload with fewer resources. So that is greatly appreciated. And as a personal note, I am certainly respectful and appreciative of the open and collaborative relationship that we've developed with the CEO and staff over the last 2 years in particular. But so thank you very much. Item 9, reports. Development Services. DS01 1223. Final adoption of scheme amendment number 70. I'll spit it out. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation. It is a very long one. I won't read it out. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Won't make me turn so quickly. Don't know why. Thank you. Councillor Ross is the mover. I'm happy to second that.
You go for it.
Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. When you read through the briefing papers that we've received for this, it's really a quite complex process to sort out the best usage of these lots. They all have some complexity about them. I'm very pleased about the amount of detail that we've been provided with and with the thoroughness of the investigation that's been done, the research that's been done to get it to this point. And so I'm very pleased to support the officer recommendation because I think all bases have been covered, particularly putting in place provisions for the water issues that are there, the potential of a contaminated site which is there. So I think we've got suitable things in place that when someone wants to do things with these blocks in the future, if this proposal goes through, there will be enough checks and balances in place that nothing untoward will be done.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Very similar comments as to Councillor Ross. I think it's a thorough review, and it is good to see that the measures are put in place that provide some constraints on development of Lot 30, given the current potential site contamination with the ex-use as a petrol station. So that is certainly a positive step. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? I wish to speak for. Councillor Hughes.
Just to add that at the moment it has been drawing a fair bit of public interest, the uses that are going on that site at the moment. So hopefully with this scheme amendment that can expedite the resolution of those issues as well.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Okay, I think no other comments. Councillor Ross, right of reply.
No, everything's fine, thank you.
Thank you. No further debate. I will put this one to the vote. All those in favour, please. Show of hands. Carried 7-0. Thank you. Medical services, there are nil items this evening. Corporate services. CS01, 1223, list of accounts paid for the period ending 30th November 2023. Councillors, we have an officer's recommendation to endorse the list of accounts. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation?
I'll move.
Councillor Campbell, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Angus, thank you. Councillor Campbell.
Nothing to add really. It's just our normal monthly accounts that are paid. Nothing out of the ordinary. So happy to support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Just to add that I didn't see anything out of place. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone speaking against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Campbell, you have right of reply if required.
All good, thank you.
Councillors, in absence of anyone speaking against, I'll declare carried 7-0 without debate. Next item of business is CS02 monthly financial report for the period ending 30th November 2023. Councillors, you were requested, you have an officer's recommendation in front to receive the monthly financial report. Can I please have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus. Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Ross. Councillor Angus.
I'm just happy to receive the financial statement, and again, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Thank you. I assume no right reply is not required. No.
Thank you.
In view of no one speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0 without debate. Next item of business is Chief Executive Officer section. First item is CEO 01, 1123, Work Health and Safety Statistic Reports for November 2023. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive this report, which includes a monthly report for November, incident report and training and development for November, and also site inspections and safety observations for November. Councillors, can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus, mover.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Again, happy to receive the Work Health and Safety report. Also happy to see that one of the incidents was followed up with one of the episodes of training. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell.
I have one question, if I may. Are we collating all the data and comparing any trends and seeing if there's any habitual behaviour or common offenders? Is that data being tracked and trended and through the chair?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, so the reason why we started this whole process is because the previous audit had indicated that although we gather the information, we don't always follow up to see the overall impact of the remediation that we've done. So we are keeping this on a register now to see if these things will reoccur and where training is needed. So it's a whole more comprehensive way of dealing with our health and safety than we've done in the past.
Thank you.
The short answer is yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell, anything further?
Nothing, thank you.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hughes.
Just to note that I did notice when I was reading the annual report that our workers' compensation claims have all but disappeared since we've been having this focus on the WHS. So to me that indicates that there's becoming quite a good workplace safety culture developing. So pleased to see that it's making a positive difference in the workplace.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Angus, any right of reply?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Council, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I will declare carried 7-0 without debate. Next item of business is CEO 02, new delegated authority. Sorry, I'll say that again. New delegated authority disposing of property. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to adopt a delegated authority for disposing of property. Councillors, can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ross. Seconder, please. Councillor Angus, thank you. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. To me, this is a practical step to streamline and make more efficient the work that the CEO is doing. As the policy reads, there are controls in it, that things that really do need to come to council for a determination will continue to do so. But it's important to have delegations at a level where every second item doesn't find its way to this table, where a reasonable level of delegation is in place, and I'm satisfied that that's what we will have with this policy.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Angus.
Nothing really to add. I agree with Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ross, right of reply.
No, I think
Thank
it
you.
was fine.
Councillors, given no one is speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0. The next item of business is CEO 03, Chittering Tourism Advisory Group nominations. Council is requested, has an officer's recommendation here, is requested to appoint the following community representatives to the Chittering Tourism Advisory Group, namely Natalie Valance, Chris Waldy, Evelyn Brown and Chris Evans. Councillors, can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ross.
I think Councillor Campbell beat
Sorry,
me to it, Mr.
it's
President.
very hard to...
It's all
I'm
good.
getting dizzy going backwards and forwards. Councillor Campbell was the mover, thank you. Councillor Ross, I assume, seconded.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
So support the officer's recommendation. So the Tourism Advisory Group is required to develop Chittering as a thriving, sustainable and diverse tourism destination, and also required to make recommendations to the council by the four people who have volunteered. So after each ordinary council meeting, they have to put their hand up and volunteer again. So I'd like to thank Natalie, Chris, Evelyn and Chris, and look forward to working with them over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Ross.
Yeah, just ready to confirm. It's good that we've got a little bit of new blood coming into this group, Evelyn Brown, but also some continuing people who have longer experience on this group, so it will be a good mix.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Campbell, do you require right of reply?
Thank you.
Councillors, given no one is speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0 without debate. Next item of business is CEO 04, Mouchet Recreation Centre, clay removal and clean fill reinstatement. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation in front of you. Can I have a mover of the officer's recommendation, please? I'm happy to move. Councillor Ross, if you're happy to move. I'm happy to move that one. Councillor Ross, second.
Yes.
Thank you very much. This officer's recommendation is to confirm the award of additional work to the contractor geared constructions for the purpose of removing clay and placing a clean fill under the netball courts. I support the officer's recommendation, and it is important that we build these facilities for the long-term benefit of all the community, and this additional cost will ensure we address the puffballs we discussed in response to public question time. and builds it to a standard that gives it a first-class surface for the longevity of use by the community. So I support the officer's recommendation. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. I think it's critical that in this entire project in Mushay we do everything properly and to a high standard of quality. So I believe this work of dealing to the highest standard with the clay issue that is there, so that we wind up with quality courts in the future, is very important. So I'm happy to support this, so that that's saying do it once, do it right. I think that principle applies very well to this issue.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation?
Not speaking
for?
against, but just to note that I did declare
Yes.
an impartiality
Yes.
interest in this
I
item.
should have noted that at the beginning of this item, but thank you for pointing that out. Councillor Hughes did declare an impartiality interest, but we read that out earlier. But thank you very much. Councillor Angus.
Yeah, just to agree that we have spent a significant amount of money on this centre because we wanted it to serve our community into the future for the long term. So absolutely we need to do the courts to an excellent standard, not just a makeshift job of resurfacing underground problems that will come back to haunt us in the future. So I'm in support of this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillors, there's no further debate. I've right to reply. I don't think I have anything else to add other than what's already been said. So thank you. Councillors, I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 7-0. Thank you. Next item of business is CEO 05, request for proposal bin dune accommodation and ancillary services. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to authorise the Chief Executive Officer to conduct a request for proposal and seek submissions from suitably qualified developers and businesses that may wish to develop and operate a sustainable tourist accommodation and ancillary tourism type business on lot 801, deposit plan 423293, and also instruct the Chief Executive Officer to stipulate that proposal should be limited to the general area as identified in green shading within the attached document. So, Council, that is the officer's recommendation. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Oh, Councillor Campbell. Seconded, Councillor Angus. Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
Support the officer's recommendation. I think it's a good idea to see how we can activate that space and getting, I suppose, obligation-free requests for quotes is a good idea with industry to provide some kind of indication what can be done there. So I think it's a good idea and we have nothing to lose by activating, well, getting ideas on activating that space. So happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Yes, thank you. This is purely a request for proposal, so it's certainly not in any way tying us into any set plans for that parcel of land at this point in time. I would be more than happy to see some proposals for accommodation and tourism on that site. Being adjacent to the mountain bike park, I think in the future there's going to be people looking for more accommodation and facilities in our town, so I'd be happy to see it go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a very valuable step one in the process. We've been, even prior to the mountain bike park, we've been aware that it would be good to have a purpose-built caravan park or other specific tourist accommodation around somewhere in the township of Bindoon. So to kind of put the toe in the water and see what the market will respond with is a very valuable first step, and it would be great to see something fruitful come from this in the longer term.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Curtis.
Mr. President, do you know if there's going to be sewage in this proposal to be sent out?
So I'll have to they'll have to provide sewerage if they were providing a facility with water, so to capture that. So they'll have to provide the sewage as part of their submission. There's no deep sewage plan,
No.
but the potential proponents would have to provide that.
Because I remember a few years back, didn't they? Well, I wasn't on council, but I read about it. They put out an expression of interest, and it's too expensive to put in the sewerage back then.
I think, if I'm correct, that was in regards to sewerage for the entire town site.
No, this was just for the golf course. Yeah.
Could be. Again, the intent is that the potential proponents will assess what's commercially viable for them, and then their submissions will come back to council for review. So this is part of a step. So I hope that answers your question, Councillor Curtis.
Yeah, but I suppose we're going to wait and see if any.
Yes.
But, be like the aged care, no one wants to do it. Why don't we do it ourselves?
We'll see what we get back, Councillor Curtis.
Sorry?
We'll see what we get back.
Okay.
Councillor, I'll speak to the matter. Look, I think the mountain bike park represents a significant investment by the Shire and community in a facility. I'm pleased that the land is demarcated or quarantined from this expression of interest, or as you would put it, such that the land that we may potentially use for other uses is not available to the proponent to propose development on. So we've retained quite a significant part of the land, which is comforting to me, and I'm sure it'll be comforting to some in the community who have expressed similar sort of concerns. Look, we hope we get significant interest. I'm increasingly confident that the mountain bike facility will be well received, and hopefully it'll justify this expenditure. We simply can't, in my view, afford the level of infrastructure that really it needs. So let's hope that private investment comes in and provides a solution to us. But we're open to all offers within the allocated land at this point. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Campbell, you have right of reply.
All good, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Lewis, I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 7-0, thank you. Next item of business is CEO 06, Lower Chittering Community Centre Reference Group, terms of reference. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to approve reactivation of the reference group and the terms of reference for the reference group. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Sure, someone will move it. Councillor Angus, thank you. I'm happy to second it. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. I'm happy to see this come back to council. I think it's important that we get the reference group up and running again now that we're hopefully going to have a favourable outcome of a application for funding. More than happy to see it go ahead, and I think it's important to consider also that in their requirements we want them not just to look at how they're going to use the facility now and talk about the history of it, but also plan for what will come there in the future. So I'm happy to see this group up and running again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Very similar comments to Councillor Angus. We just note that the architectural design is, the cost for that design is included in the current budget, so there's no additional cost in that regard. And reactivation of the Lower Chittering Reference Group. Reference Group with the appropriate terms of reference are critical for helping guide provide advice to council in what that development will be. And as Councillor Angus mentioned, considering future uses of the site is also paramount. We must, where possible, future-proof our developments such that we don't end up in a situation in the future for where we've constrained our development opportunity. So we look forward to a process of reviewing the design and certainly, as Councillor Angus mentioned, moving to the next stage of the grant application process and a successful outcome, I hope. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wishes to speak for? Councillor Angus, right of reply?
No, thank you. Nothing else to add.
Thank you, councillors. I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 7-0. Thank you. Next item of business is CEO 07, Shire of Chittering Annual Report 2022-2023. Councillors, you have a officer's recommendation to accept the annual report and then to schedule the convenience of the annual electors meeting on Wednesday the 7th of February 2024 at Bindoon Hall at 7 p.m. We just have to make one minor edit to the date on the screen. 7th. Thank you. Councillors, can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ross. May I have a seconder for the councillor? Councillor Dewar. Thank you. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. Really, I think the people involved in the preparation of the annual report deserve to be commended because it's an impressive and thorough document. It takes several sittings to work your way through it and digest what's in it, and that's a good thing because it means we're telling the world everything we can about what the Shire is doing. And of course, it's a statutory obligation, the second part of the officer recommendation, that we hold an electors meeting and on the cycle that we have of moving them around the Shire. This next one will be here in Bindoon. So very happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Dewar.
Yeah, I just concur with Councillor Ross's sentiments. Just to say that it's a fantastic document. If those people haven't seen it in its hard copy, it's very impressive. And done in-house, so that's even better. So we've saved some money there, I believe. And I'll be taking it home tonight and reading it from cover to cover before I slip off to sleep.
Thank you, Councillor Dewar. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hughes. Oh, sorry. Councillor Hughes.
Yeah, just to commend the staff on putting it together as the other councils have done. I think this might be one of the documents that would appeal to most people to read, as opposed to going and reading all of our various other strategic plans. This has got all the key components of those, and it's also our scorecard really of how we're going with enacting council decisions and progress on projects and things. So there's a lot of stuff that will actually be of interest for people to read, and it's also very good to see the trend over the last 4 or 5 years as well. So I think it's definitely a worthwhile document. If you're only going to read one report from the Shire a year, this would be the one to read.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Angus.
Yes, thank you. Just to say also thank you to the staff for all the hard work and the timely manner to get this out so that we can have the annual electors meeting at a reasonable time. I must admit, when I first saw the attachment, I thought, oh my goodness, there's so much of it, until I started to read it, and then I was certainly very happy to read it. I found it easy to read and so informative, and I think it's definitely something that as many people in our community who can pick it up and read it, because it's got all the information in there that you might want. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillors? Councillor Campbell?
Also commend the CEO and her team on a well-presented professional document. It's an excellent resource for any community member to actually find out more about our Shire. So well presented and very, very thorough, so well done.
Councillor Campbell. Councillor
Very well done,
Curtis.
staff, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Curtis. My turn, which leaves me with not much to say. Everyone's really said it all. Look, I think it is a very professional document. It's not going to win us a lot of friends if we're setting the benchmark that high with our fellow local governments, I must say, because it's such an extraordinary document that they will struggle to produce that quality of document. So we might end up with a few less friends after we publish our documents, but nevertheless the quality is impeccable, and I commend the staff and the CEO for the many hours, after hours, spent on developing this document. Okay, that's about all I need to say. Lost my track. Where are we back to? Councillor Rossi with a movie, you have right of reply.
Look, just briefly, Mr. President, I just want to pick up on a point Councillor Campbell mentioned then about this document as a resource. One of the things I appreciate within it is that I think it's the second section, is the census data on who we are. And when you think about it, that's what guides a whole lot of our decision making, knowing who our people are, where they are, things like age profile, employment profile, family profile, all of that stuff. And I think because we're a rapidly growing shire, and that's been so for about 20 years, to have that in as foundation data really is very helpful for people to see, well, why are we doing this? Well, because this is who we are. That data is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, no further debate. I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 7-0. Thank you, Council. Next item of business is item 10, report of committees. Reports of committees. COM 01, Local Emergency Management Committee, unconfirmed minutes from Wednesday the 22nd November 2023 and scheduling of 2024 meeting dates. Councillors, you have an officer recommendation to this effect. Can I please have a mover? Councillor Hughes. Click. A seconder, if I may. Councillor Curtis, would you like to second this one? Yeah, yes. I'm encouraging Councillor Curtis will second this one. Thank you. Councillor Hughes.
I can confirm that I chaired that meeting, so the meeting went very well and it was well attended, and this is just a formality just to lock in the dates for next year so everyone can put them in their calendar. That's pretty much what the consensus of the main crux of that meeting was, so happy to receive this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Curtis.
I accept the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Council, is anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Right of reply. Councillor Hughes, no?
No.
Councillors, no one speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare carried 7-0. Item 11. Motions of which previous notice has been given. There is one. First item, the only item is MWN 01. Councillor John Curtis, and the Councillor John Curtis has this motion. I'll read this one. The motion reads that Council instructs the Chief Executive Officer to arrange a Council workshop to review the Council donation policy with an intent to preclude the Shire from accepting donations from mining companies and mining-related companies. Councillor Curtis, you'll move your...
I'll move it.
Councillor Curtis, thank you. 1 minute. Can I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Curtis, in the absence of a seconder, the motion lapses. lapses for a want of a seconder. Correct phrase, my apologies. Next item of business is item 12, questions from members without notice. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor Curtis.
Mr. President, what's the latest, if you know anything on the Good Sammy's proposal?
Can I refer to the Chief Executive Officer, please?
The feedback there is that we, due to the fact that there's several items that needs to be included in their final proposal to us, it was too much of a rush to get it to this council meeting, and we're letting it stand over until February. So it will come to the February council meeting.
And we can't have any information before that? The council we can't get any information what they're proposing?
No, so the council resolution was that when we have a final proposal from Good Sammys, we would bring that back to council. We don't have that as yet, or we didn't have it in time for this meeting. So the next meeting of council will be February.
And then we can either vote for it or not?
That's right, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Are there any other questions? No further questions. I'll move on to item 13, new business of urgent nature, introduced by decision of the meeting. There are nil. I hope there's nil. There's no nil. No. Okay, nil. Item 14, meeting closed to the public. There are nil matters. Item 15, closure. I declare the meeting closed at 7:42. Thank you.